Hello everyone, and welcome back to Isn't It? My name is Isabel. I'm a knitter based in Chicago, Illinois, and this is a podcast where I talk about all things knitting. I've been knitting for almost a year, so I'll have what I made in my first year knitting video coming soon, but I wanted to squeeze in one more podcast episode before then. So yeah, let's jump in. I don't have that much to show today, but I just really wanted to sit and chat. First thing, I'll talk about what I'm wearing. This is a modified stick season sweater by the Creabea or Rebecca Clow on Ravelry. The stick season sweater has, here, wait, I'll stand up and show you better. This is just like a pretty basic sweater. Stick season sweater has a textured yoke. I knit it without the textured yoke. I also did not knit it to gauge and basically just like roughly followed it for numbers. I wanted sort of a Baba inspired sweater for my girlfriend, and I'm very pleased with it. I steal it regularly. Nice chunky collar, ribbing, sort of like shorter sleeves. It's knit in Cascade 220. Let me see if I know what color it is in, actually. No clue. I'll see if I can find a label and insert it on the screen. But yeah, great sweater. Big fan. Let's jump into what I've been working on. I have like 2.5 finished objects to show you loosely. One purely, truly finished object, and that is my sailor slippers. Here they are. I'm obsessed with these. So this is a pattern by Annie Sews, which released very recently, like within the last 2 weeks, I would say, and already has like 400 projects on Ravelry. So it is really wildly popular. I'm sure that anyone on here has seen people talk about this pattern before, but it's essentially a felted slipper pattern. You knit them flat in a big piece, and then you seam them up, and then you felt them in the washing machine. I've never felted anything before, so this was a very fun experience. Kind of like alchemy, like magic, honestly. I have a little portable washing machine because my apartment building has quarter laundry in the basement, and it's A, not a very good washer and dryer, and B, really expensive. So I bought a washing machine that you can like hook into your sink. Highly recommend if you're in an apartment where you don't have an in-unit washer and dryer. I just air dry everything, but it saved me a lot of money already, and it works pretty well. And I wasn't sure how it was going to work for felting, but it was great. I think I washed it, I would guess I washed them for a total of 2 hours. It is a top load washer, but it doesn't have an agitator, so it functions more like a front load washer would in terms of felting, from what I understand. A front load washer doesn't have the agitator in the middle, and so it takes a lot longer to felt it. I put a towel in with it, which I think sped things up, and I just kept running it until it was the size I wanted. I knit these in Drop Snow, which is the recommended yarn. I used the colors light olive, light blue, navy, and crimson red. It was really fun. I knit these up in like 3 days. I already want to make pairs for anyone in my life who I think would like a pair of slippers, and I've worn them nonstop. One of my favorite things about them is that they are machine washable. So once you've felted them, if you wash them on cold, they're not going to felt anymore. So I've actually already washed them once because I spilled some soup on them. They came out beautifully, and I feel like this solves a problem that I have with slippers a lot of the time, which is that they get kind of gross. I wear slippers pretty much constantly, and the more you wear them, the more they just kind of like aren't nice anymore. So I'm thrilled that these are washable. Great pattern, pretty clear, easy, straightforward, kind of a funny construction because you knit them flat, but not hard to follow, just increases and decreases, and then seaming. And quite frankly, my seaming is not as neat as the pattern suggested. It had a whole section on like how to mattress stitch it beautifully, and then you Kitchener stitched it in the back, and I'm not a sewist. I quite frankly don't like sewing very much, and I was really at my wit's end, and I really just wanted to felt these and be done. So I sewed them up kind of just whip stitch style, and you can't tell, they look great. I did have a little bit of a knitting injury making these. It's not gnarly anymore, so I can kind of show, but I have a big scratch here. But basically I was finishing them up, and my girlfriend was holding our cat above me, and the cat leaped out of her arms and landed on my hand, and my knitting needle impaled me, basically. And these are knit on size 11, US 11 needles, which I think are an 8mm needle. I'm not sure, but they are massive. And that took me out of commission for a hot second. I made my girlfriend finish stitching them up so I could felt them, and then I took a couple of days off knitting. But I'm back in action now. It was pretty painful, sort of finger armpit injury. Don't recommend. Yeah, so those are my sailor slippers. I don't think I have anything else to say about them. Let me consult my notes and make sure that I'm not forgetting something. Oh, once I felted them, I'll insert some pictures of the process because it's really fun to see. I did end up cutting some of the fuzziness off. I read online that was like a good way to get rid of it, and it worked really well. So if you felt these and they come out and they're like kind of hairy fuzzy and that's not the look you're going for, highly recommend just taking a pair of scissors and cleaning those up, which makes perfect sense, but I hadn't felted anything before, so I wasn't exactly sure what the best way to handle that was. Yeah, so highly recommend. Great pattern. Moving on to now what I will call my finished-ish project. As I've talked about in my previous two videos, my dad's birthday was at the beginning of November, and I knit him the petite knit zipper sweater. His birthday was on November 2nd. I did see him on November 2nd. I did not have the sweater finished. I tried. I did my best. But the night before, I wasn't feeling so hot. I had to knit the zipper facing still and then block it and hope that it would dry enough in time for me to sew the zipper in the morning. And I decided I just didn't want to do that. And I was going to bring the unfinished sweater to brunch, let him see it, and then say, so sorry, I have to take it back. And that's what I did. And it was fine. It was okay. I really psyched myself out into feeling that if I ever gift knit, it needs to be 100% completely done and finished and beautiful and perfect, or else it's not a good present. And I still stand by the fact that my goal is always to be able to gift a fully finished object, blocked, ends woven in, tag, everything beautiful. But I think it was still worth it to be able to show him his gift on his birthday, and then I'm going home for Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks, and I'll bring that. It's almost done. I haven't blocked it or sewn the zipper in. I did finish the facing, so I'm gonna show it as a finished object, even though I know it's not fully a finished object. Ooh, knocked over some stitch markers, and this is inside out, so give me just a second. Yes, here is my zipper sweater. So yeah, as you can see, I have not put the zipper in yet. This, I should have known how massive a men's XL sweater would be, but this is really, it's really quite large. This is the women's pattern of the zipper sweater. I did some comparison, and I don't think that there's actually that much of a difference between the women's pattern and the men's pattern. It's just a gauge difference. I, upon further reflection, probably actually should have purchased the men's pattern for this yarn that I was using. Sorry. Kicked up some dust or something. Probably should have used the men's pattern for the yarn that I was using, but I think I went back and forth on yarn choices a couple of times, and at one point the women's pattern met gauge better, and so I had purchased that already, and I just decided to go with it and figure gauge out. I knit this in Cascade 220. One thing about me is that I knit a lot of things in Cascade 220. It's just a good workhorse yarn. I have not had any complaints about any finished object in Cascade 220 yet, and I have knit a number of sweaters that have pilled quite badly or have blocked quite badly in other yarns, and you gotta trust what you know, So yeah, Cascade 220, this is the color Midnight Heather, I believe. It's really, really beautiful. I'm not sure that it's gonna show up in this lighting. It's officially winter in Chicago, fall in Chicago, and it's 3:04 p.m. and it's already starting to get a little bit dark. So we're doing the best we can with the lighting that we have. But it's really, really nice. It's like a navy blue with flecks of sort of teal and dark purple, but it's still a true navy, so it's not like super wacky. It's just gives it a little bit of visual interest. I knit this to the size specifications of a Ralph Lauren sweater that my dad has, a zipper sweater. I made it slightly bigger. I wanted it to have a little bit more positive ease, but in terms of like armhole depth and arm length and chest width, all of those numbers were available on the Ralph Lauren website. So I think I said this in my last video, but I really recommend doing that if you are trying to gift knit in the season of gift knitting. If you know of a commercial brand that your gift recipient likes and you know their size, oftentimes they do have product dimensions, and I've done this a couple of times and it saves like a lot of pain in trying to guess how long they would like a sweater to be or guess how they want something to fit. Process of making this. It was pretty smooth. I did have to frog back a good section of body because I had not made it big enough. So I frogged it back. I increased pretty rapidly around the raglan stitches, raglan increased stitches, and then I started the body again. After that, everything was smooth sailing. I made some modifications to the way the collar was done. I was feeling not very motivated to start this, and I knew I was getting closer and closer to my deadline. The collar calls for a Jenny's Magic cast on, which I've never done before. For somebody who's done so many fiber arts and so many just like different artistic endeavors, I don't feel like I'm very coordinated with my hands, and I struggle to tension anything in my left hand. I tension everything with my right hand. When I crocheted, I tensioned everything with my right hand. I've always been like an English knitter. I was an English crocheter, which is pretty uncommon. The Jenny's Magic cast on requires, at least the ways I found, requires you to tension in your left hand, and you sort of like wrap it around two fingers and pick up stitches back and forth so that you're knitting two sets of live stitches at the same time. And then you would knit down one set of those and then close it shut so you have a double folded collar, knit together the live stitches, if that makes any sense. I'm not explaining myself well, but you leave a section of those stitches live to knit the zipper facing that exists like on the inside of the zipper neckline that you will knit the zipper into so that it's hidden. And I tried to do that. I tried for like maybe an hour, and then I couldn't quite get it in my hands right, and I just needed to get it started. So instead, I just cast on the stockinette portion, and I picked up for the collar later, and then just left those same stitches live when I cast off the collar as a folded collar. And that worked perfectly. It worked so fine. And genuinely, probably what I would do again if met with the same issue. I would love to learn to do the Jenny's Magic cast on. I think it's something that I need to like be with somebody who has done it before and have them like show me how to hold my hand. So maybe I'll go into my local yarn store and see if someone could give me a little demo on that for the next time I need that technique. But if you're like me and you're struggling and you just need to like get something cast on and get something started, that method worked perfectly fine and you wouldn't be able to tell, and I'm happy with it. So yes, this is gonna go on the blocking mats as soon as my dining room table has room for it. Right now my girlfriend's 3D printer is on that because she's been making us some stuff for around the house. My drying rack broke and she came up with some contraption to fix that. We need some more like things like clothespins and stuff, and so she's been working on that and taking up the dining table, which is great. We love a project, but that's the only place that I really have to block in this apartment. So once that's off, then this will get blocked and then the zipper will get sewn in, and I'm sure that I will show you guys once again when it's finally done. I'll try and take some footage of him wearing it because I love to show off a truly finished object. But yes, zipper sweater by Petite Knit. I knit this on, I don't know what needle size. I will find that also. I don't have it on my Ravelry, which is bad note-taking of me. I'll find that and let you know. I think maybe it was a US 7, but it could have been a US 8, a 5mm needle. We'll see. My final finished-ish object, or you know what, maybe we're getting into works in progress now because it's not done. And I am missing one, so give me 1 second. In my video where I knit in Boston on our trip, and in fact probably the reason that I did not finish the zipper sweater in time, I chose to cast on a pair of socks. So I have one sock fully done. Look how cute, big fan. And then I have another sock. I'm on the heel flap. Where is it? Here, the heel flap, and then we will have 2 socks. This is the vanilla sock pattern by Crazy Sock Lady, I believe, on Ravelry. I mistakenly said in my last video this was a free pattern. It's not a free pattern, but it's like $2 on Ravelry, and it is super well written. It has a great YouTube video that accompanies it. I highly, highly recommend if it's your first time making socks or you just want like a basic sock pattern. I think this is a great one. I purchased the 9-inch circular version. She also has a DPN pattern and a magic loop pattern, which just give you a little bit more specifics for using those other needles. I am knitting this in Barocco Vintage Sock, which is, let me see the makeup. It is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, and 8% nylon. I bought this a long time ago from Wool & Company on like my way out of the store. I was like, oh, sock yarn. It seems nice. I have not yet worn these because they're not a pair yet. I love the color. I think it's really gorgeous. Yeah, so far I'm a fan. I will report back. These are knit on a US 1 9-inch needle, which equates to 2.25mm needle. I had someone leave a comment on my first video that they wished that I had given everything in millimeters, like needle sizes in millimeters, as opposed to the US needle size, or like meters instead of yards, because the rest of the world doesn't use those measuring scales. And I do understand that. I can respect that. I also just, like, that's what I know. That's what I speak in. That, like, I often watch videos of podcasters from the UK or the rest of the world, and they don't use those terminologies, and I kind of figure it out, you know? So I'll do my best when I remember to include the millimeters or meter conversions, but I'm doing my best. You know, I'm just a girl. So yes, that's the vanilla sock pattern. I'm really, really, really excited to have these done. Yes. Oof, little piece of fuzz. Now into works in progress. I only have one true work in progress, but I have a couple of cast-ons planned for today and tomorrow, and I'm going to include those also. My first work in progress is the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. I have made this pattern once before when I was a very, very new knitter. I knit it in, I can find the exact info. I knit it in a drops yarn held with Knitting for Olive Merino to get gauge. Yeah, I knit it in drops Merino Extra Fine in black and Knitting for Olive Merino in licorice, because I had purchased the Extra Fine Merino because my girlfriend requested a black sweater and that was affordable, and I was like, ooh, merino, that's great. So I purchased that, and then I had not yet picked a pattern, and then that was not the right yarn weight for the pattern, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll hold it with something else. And so I got the Knitting for Olive, but the drops yarn is a superwash. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm like all tangled and I shouldn't be trying to mess with that while I'm talking. The drops merino is a superwash, and Knitting for Olive, obviously not a superwash. So things got a little bit weird with that sweater. It's beautiful. It's a great sweater. I added some red cuff detailing, which is really cute. I really, really like it. Honestly, I would love to just like remake it with better materials now that I understand things a little bit better. But anyway, yes, I've knit this pattern once before, but my girlfriend's mom has long been requesting a sweater. She's so sweet. She's very, very supportive of my knitting. Every time we talk on the phone, she's like, send me a like portfolio of your work and I'll go around to boutiques and see if any of them want to sell your knitting, which is very sweet. I don't know that I'm there. I don't know that I want to be a production knitter in that way right now, but I appreciate the support nonetheless. And she had texted and asked if she could commission a sweater from me, and I told her that I was in fact already planning on making her a sweater for Christmas, and so we could work together and she could pick what she wanted, and she picked the Lakes pullover in a dark gray, and I'm kind of at the middle of a row, which is why I was trying to untangle that earlier, but I'm just gonna finish it really fast and then I'll show you, so give me one moment. I only have one saddle shoulder done. But this will be someday a Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. I knit my gauge swatch, and this yarn combo is so dreamy. I am holding Juniper Moon Farms Patagonia with Kinross 4-ply. The Juniper Moon Farms is a 100% merino wool, and then the Kinross 4-ply is Scottish lamb's wool. They're both in this like deep brown, or not brown, sorry, dark gray. And they're beautiful. I got the Kinross 4-ply on recommendation from the Creabea, who just like gushes about it. She claims that when it's washed, it is as soft as cashmere. I can attest, it is very soft. The Juniper Moon's Farm Patagonia merino is not the softest merino I've ever worked with. I think it's like pretty similar to the Knitting for Olive heavy merino, which is a much more rustic merino than some might assume. I really like that. I think it holds up really well. The first sweater I ever made was in the Juniper Moon's Farm Patagonia merino, and it hasn't pilled at all. It looks great, but I do think that maybe is keeping the Kinross 4-ply from like truly shining in my gauge swatch, although it is incredibly soft. I think it's gonna be like a really, really lovely sweater, and I'm super, super excited for this one. I'm knitting it in a medium on US 8, so 5mm needles. I think it's gonna go pretty quickly. The last one went pretty quickly, and I just cast on this shoulder like earlier today, so that is very, very exciting. That's my one true whip, but the rest of my whips are shortly coming. One of which is the Rebel cardigan by Anistrick, I believe. And this is, so a while ago, my mom and my grandma came to visit, and we went to a yarn store because I wanted them both to pick out some yarn for me to eventually make them something. And I gave the caveat that it might take a little while before they see this yarn. They see this finished object. But I really would like to finish my grandma's before Christmas. We're doing Christmas with my mom's side of the family really, really early this year because we're going on a trip over Christmas Day with my dad's side of the family. And it's hard to get everyone back in town at the same time, so we're gonna do it while we're home for Thanksgiving at the end of November. And at the time, my grandma requested some sort of little, like, vest, drapey vest thing. And I was like, sure, sounds great. She's very true grandma. She loves a little pullover thing. And I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked, and I found nothing that I liked until I found the Rebel cardigan. So this is a cardigan. You'll notice it has sleeves. I'm not gonna knit sleeves. I'm gonna just knit the, like, cowl neck. It's sort of a cowl neck, but it doesn't come around the front, but like the collar and go down and knit like a pretty long vest without buttons, just like an open vest. I've run into an issue. I feel like I've had a lot of knitting rites of passage this week, like an injury and this, which is that I pulled out the yarn that my grandma picked out, and this was really nice yarn. It's the Plucky Knitter Luxe Merino Light Sport, I think is the whole name of it. It's really expensive yarn. It's really expensive yarn. It's like $38 a skein. I never would have bought yarn that expensive, but my grandma really wanted it, and she's so sweet, and I just couldn't say no to her. I pulled it out, and a moth had gotten into it. I keep all of my yarn in a bookcase that is in our living room. So far it's been perfectly fine. I read that, there are kind of two ways to handle or like protect against moths. The first is to seal everything up very, very tightly, and the second is actually to keep things in a more aerated environment. Moths like dark, like tight, close quarters. So I have a bookshelf that's open that I'm in constantly, getting yarn, looking through my yarn. I felt pretty confident that it would be okay, but there was pretty considerable moth damage in one of the skeins. And when I was and a lot of the like larvae dust that they leave behind, the eggs of the moths. And at first I was like, no worries, I can just, sew these pieces together, bind these pieces together, felt them together. But I Googled, and basically there's not a good way when it's that damaged to ensure that you've killed all the eggs. And so I threw it away. So now I'm on the hunt for a new yarn. It wasn't the perfect yarn for the gauge anyway, but as you can tell, I'm not usually that concerned with that. And I just don't know that I have the budget to repurchase that yarn. It's a hand-dyed yarn, so I can't just like buy one more skein to replace the one that was damaged, because it won't look the same. The dye lots will be really bad, and I don't know that I have the budget to repurchase 3 skeins of that right now. So I'm on the hunt. I'm on the hunt for a replacement yarn that is going to still be as soft as that beautiful yarn, but maybe a little bit more budget friendly. So I'll report back with what I find. I'm hoping to order that today because I wanted to start that today, but I didn't. I wasn't able to. So that is a cast on coming incredibly soon. My other cast on that I know will be happening is for my girlfriend for her Christmas present. She requested a brioche sweater based on an image that we found on Pinterest, which I will insert, and I know that I put in my first podcast episode, but I'll put it again. And at first I chose the September sweater by Petite Knit to replicate that. I'm now going back and forth between the September sweater and an Ozetta pattern, the Seasons sweater by Ozetta, which is actually a half fisherman's rib pattern, not a true brioche. And I think I might be leaning towards that one. The September sweater is knit, it's like knit in a mohair, and I have seen people, we're not huge mohair fans in this apartment. We both find it pretty itchy, so I don't usually go for that. And I have seen people on Ravelry knit it in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, which is the yarn that I bought for the project. But I've seen people more successfully knit the season sweater in Heavy Merino, so I think I might go with that. I also just like love Ozetta patterns. I'm knitting the Lakes Pullover, you know, right now, and I'm reminded by how much I love her pattern writing. I think it's so clear and like so well done. So I think I'll go with that one, and then I will knit the body in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, and the collar of this image that we found is like a bright cobalt blue, and I have a skein of Juniper Moon's Farm Patagonia in a bright blue, and I'm gonna hold that double to knit the collar, and I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited for this sweater. So that also needs to be cast on pretty soon, because hopefully it'll be done for Christmas. I'm also struggling, I'd love recommendations actually, on what to knit my girlfriend's dad. Last Christmas I had just learned to knit, and I knit her mom a scarf, and sort of the running bit with her dad is that he always gets a duck of some sort, a duck themed item. And so I knit a square and then duplicate stitched a duck on it and framed it, and that was a huge hit. He really liked the duck frame. But I can't do that again. And he's also like very picky about his clothing. Not picky, he's particular. He likes what he likes, and I don't want to like make him something he's not gonna like. I also don't have time to make 2 full sweaters. I was planning on maybe making him a sweater next Christmas and making her mom something a little bit smaller. At first I thought maybe I'd do socks, but Karina says that he's got a kind of sock that he loves, so maybe not socks. I found a pattern, he's a big golfer. I found a pattern, well, not a pattern, I found an image that someone had knit like golf club covers that looked like ducks, so I thought maybe I would do that. But if anyone has any sort of duck themed knitting, smaller knitting projects that could be done in like a couple of days, I would be very grateful for some guidance in the world of duck knitting. So we'll see about that. Do I have any acquisitions or other future plans? I'm not letting myself think too far ahead about what I'm gonna knit for me next, because I want another cardigan so bad. I want to knit either the mono boxy cardigan or the Hanny cardigan so badly, and I'm gonna do, it's gonna be great, but I have to finish more Christmas gift knitting first. So that might be all I have for you today. This was a shorter episode, but I just really wanted to check in. I really enjoyed chatting with you and reading all of your comments. It's been really great. Oh my goodness, I have another finished object. I thought that I talked about this. Well, I kind of talked about it in my last video, but I'm gonna go find this and I'll splice it in somewhere. One moment. I completely forgot. Ooh, focus. There we go. Okay. Since we last spoke in podcast form, I finished my Serena sweater, which is an all-over cable sweater by Cookie the Knitter. And here she is. Oh, that's the back. Is that the back? Yes. Here she is. I cannot believe that I made this. Every time I wear a hand knit sweater, I'm very proud of it, and I actually almost always wear a hand knit sweater. I work in a library. It's a very sweater appropriate job. But this one, I just like, it's so good. It's so good. I knit this in a combo of Cascade 220 and Hilsvag Via, which is a fingering weight Norwegian wool, and the combo is so beautiful. Like, it's so squishy. The cables look really good, in my opinion. this worked out pretty quickly. How long did it take me? I started this on September 20th. Like I started gauge swatching on September 20th and I finished it on October 14th. In this same time, I was also working on my Amy sweater by Petite Knit and I think maybe one other project actually. I feel like for my first cable project, this went really quickly. It's knit on size 9 or 5.5 millimeter needles. I knit a size large because I wanted it to be a little bit boxy. I'm really happy with the fit. I've gotten so much wear out of this already. I don't even know what else to say. I did make a few mistakes. There are a couple of spots where I didn't do the cables quite right. One notable one on the back, if you can see that right there, my cables got a little off, but it's fine. It's my first cable knit sweater. I'm so proud of it. I cannot wait to do more cables. I cannot wait. I want to do a cable cardigan next, I think. And I don't know which one, but that's my goal. I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about that. I feel like it's been so long since I finished it, and I did sort of show it off in my my Boston video, but just to have a complete record, it's great. It's an all-time favorite. It's really, really great. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Leave me recommendations for duck related gifting. That would be awesome. And also, what are y'all working on right now? What are, if any, gifting plans do you have? Or what, if any, gifting plans do you have? I know I asked that before, but we're really getting into the swing of things now, so I'm curious. I hope to be back soon. Maybe I'll do, soon I'm gonna do my What I Knit in a Year, because my first project was, I started my first project over Thanksgiving break last year. So we're almost there at 1 year, and I've made a lot of stuff. I've really done a lot. Hopefully I can finish up some of these things and have a really strong year of knitting. And then I'll be back with a recap of my gift knits that are not yet finished soon. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.